Hi, my name is Heidi Rethmeier, and this Wednesday webinar, we are going to review the science resources that are available here at ESU 8 that can be checked out. I'm Heidi Rethmeier, again, staff developer at ESU 8, and the first thing I'm going to do is walk through the process on how you could check some of this equipment out. Um, if you haven't checked many things out from the ESU, if you log into our website, there is an icon called Snap. This is where you go to check things out. So if you select that icon, then this will come up where you log in. Your username is typically a number. The password, usually the default, is orders. If you're not sure what it is, talk to your media specialist at your school. They're the ones that are the keepers of that information. If you need some help, I'm sure our media ladies here at the ESU could certainly help you too to get that information to log in. Then once you log in, this is the screen that will come up. It should say your name. You can see that it says that I am logged in. I don't have any items in my cart right now. It's kind of like you're going shopping. And then this is the search area where you can search either for the title of the kit. You can even search the kit number, as I'll give that information to you today. You can also, if you just have a topic, a general topic that you would like to search, you can do that. I don't have a screenshot of it, but once you hit the search button for that, if you're looking for a kit like what we're talking about today, over on the right you can select multimedia, and that will bring up the kits for you. So that might help limit what you see on that search that comes up. All right, so what I did is I first started by sorting our kits into 3 areas. I sorted them into physical science, life science, and earth science. So that's how I broke them down. And a special shout out to the media ladies. We took about half a day to go through all these and take pictures of them. So this is just a listing of the physical. We'll go through each one. I'll show you pictures of what we have and maybe talk about what you could do with each of those. And as we go through these, think about how you could possibly use these. A lot of these are very popular for science fairs, just classroom activities when you're talking about these topics. Or maybe if you happen to have a science day or an evening where you bring community members and family members in, a lot of these would be neat to have also. All right, so let's start with physical science. So some kits that we have one on magnets, simple machines, electricity, static electricity, heat transfer, and the makey-makey. So we'll go through each one of those. Okay, the magnets kit. Typically all these kits come with some sort of information, even some worksheets that the students can do. So those come in the booklets. We have a box of some bar magnets that have your north and south poles on them. We have some compasses then that you can illustrate the magnetic field around different magnets. And then just an assortment of various smaller magnets. We do have some iron filings that you could use loose. Those tend to be a little messy. So what we also have, which are pretty neat, especially for our younger kids, are these self-contained trays of the iron so that they're not loose. And then you can just put the magnets over the top of them and play around with the iron filings and the magnets. So. Also, as part of this kit, which I think would be really neat for inquiry, and a lot of these can be used just for some inquiry and letting the kids explore. There's nails that are included, some that are steel and some that are aluminum, and you can see how the magnets will be attracted to the steel but not the aluminum. So, okay, the next kit is simple machines. And I sure wish I had this the other night because my son and I spent a lot of time studying simple machines, magnetism, and electricity. So this would have been great to show some of the concepts that we were talking about. We have several different types of pulleys. This is a bigger pulley over here and another bigger one over here. It's hard to see, but these have little eye hooks in them that you can hang things from. You can put some string on some of the weights. This is a spring scale, and there's other spring scales that are also in the kit. And you can experiment with different loads and different arrangements of pulleys to see if you can change the force. There's also some ramps and a car that can be used or pulled along a ramp. And again, there are other spring scales in there, not just this one. So that's the Simple Machines Kit 505. Another kit is the electricity kit. This one comes with all kinds of wires and batteries and a battery holder, light bulbs like this one here. It's hard to see, but my light bulb is lighting up. I have a complete circuit. This is a switch, so you can show the concept of a switch. Here we got a nail with a wire wrapped around it to show the concept of an electromagnet. This is something I really wish I had when I was studying with my son the other night. This is a little hand generator that has a wire attached to it, and you can hook this up either to a light bulb similar to this or an LED. The LED probably works best, and they can hand crank it and see that with an electric generator, the mechanical motion of cranking it will turn into electrical energy. So that's a pretty neat tool to show them how we can transfer the type of energy from mechanical to electrical. So that is kit 753. Static electricity, kit 1050. This has just some odds and ends to illustrate static electricity. We have a glass rod, a rubber rod, and an acrylic rod. Several different materials. I believe this is felt and silk and rabbit fur. And then it's fun to rub the rods and see how you can attract the ping pong balls or repel the ping pong balls and the peanuts. We have some balloons. This is hard to tell what it is, but it's actually a comb. I know it's fun to show the students how if you take one of these charged rods and hold it next to a small stream of water, you can actually make the water bend. So this is a great way to illustrate some long-range forces that you can produce just by static electricity. Okay, heat transfer or effects of temperature, kit 754. This one, each of these were different kits, and we just combined them all together into one kit just because they all had to do with heat transfer or what we can do with temperature. These are some insulated cups. What you can do is put hot water in one and cold in another. And then this middle bar will illustrate the transfer of heat. I don't know, you might certainly lose some of the younger students on this because it's not that exciting to watch. Perhaps you could start it at the beginning of the lesson and then periodically as you're doing something else, take some temperature readings, and then eventually it will come to equilibrium, so you can talk about equilibrium also. This is the typical ring and ball apparatus. You can show at room temperature that the ball actually fits through the ring. And then when you heat up the ball, it will no longer fit. So you can show that the expansion of a material when it's heated. This is a bimetallic strip that has two different materials that expand at different rates when heated. So when you heat this up, it will kind of bend and coil up. So again, that's interesting to show the effects of temperature. And then also what I'm going to throw in this kit, it wasn't normally part of this kit, here's on the next slide, is this is an old thermostat that came out of my house. And this is really neat to show an actual application of a heat transfer. This is a coil here of a bimetallic strip. And as the temperature goes up or down, it will expand or contract. And when it does that, this is a little vial that has a little drop of mercury in it. So as this expands and contracts, because it's from the temperature, from the bimetallic concept, this thing will tip back and forth. Here is your vial and here is your coil. So this will tip back and forth when this expands and contracts, and that mercury will go from one end of the vial to the other. And when it comes to this end right here, there's two little wires at the end that when that mercury reaches them, it closes the circuit. So it's going to turn on your furnace. So that's an interesting way to show how we use the concept of heat transfer in a real mechanical system. Though most days these things are digital and work a little differently, but these are fun to show. And as you turn this dial, you can see how this strip moves, and then that mercury switch moves back and forth. So that's just a great way to show an application. Okay, the Makey kits. I know I've worked with a lot of you on these Makey kits in the last year or two, whether you've come in for a conference or maybe at the Summer Tech Institute, and I will be at the Summer Tech Institute again this May to show the Makeys. This is a great way to show concepts of physical science and conductors and insulators, a lot of vocabulary that we can use with these. What you do is you hook this up to the computer using the USB, and then you can hook up these wires to any of these arrow keys or a space bar or a click, and basically anything that would use these keys on your computer can now be used with some other material that conducts electricity. So I will show you a video here of how that's used from the Makey site, and I apologize sometimes when I do this on a webinar, it's a little choppy. So if you would like to see it a little clearer, you can always search for it. So. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jay.
And I'm Eric. We're graduate students at MIT Media Lab.
We have a dream that everyone is an inventor. So we created Makey to let you invent just by alligator clipping. Alligator clips stuff like bananas to your Makey. When you touch the banana, your computer just thinks you're touching the keyboard. The front has arrow keys, spacebar, and mouse left click. When you're ready for more, flip the Makey over and you've got more keyboard keys and support for the mouse. You can even use the board like an Arduino when you are ready. No programming, no breadboarding. You don't even have to install software. Just plug it in USB.
Order your Makey today and start changing how the world works.
All right, so that's the Makey. I think it's a great way to illustrate concepts of physical science and electricity, and it's very engaging. Obviously, the kids love it. I brought it home because I wasn't sure, is it really that simple? All you do is plug it in, and sure enough, that's all you do. Plug it in and off you go. So, and certainly I'd be more than willing to bring these kits into your classroom and work with your students. Okay, life science. Again, we have several that could be used. Some of them are really geared more towards the younger students, some for the older students. We have a body uniform. We have several models. We have an ear, human brain, human heart, lungs, skeletons, jaw, and an eye. We have some simple microscopes, really geared towards the younger kids, an owl pellet kit, and eye goggles kit. So we'll go through each one of those. Right, the body uniform, kit $6.99. As I mentioned, this is probably more appropriate for K through 4, K through 6. The kids would put on, I think we have 2 of these kits. A student can put on this little cape, and then each of these organs are have Velcro on them, so you can take them off, put them on. I think we have some kidneys on the back, and I love the little brain that they can put on. So great way just to show some body organs and functions that we're made up of. Okay, some other models that we have, and most of these models do have the capability of being taken apart. You can look at different components. The human brain, it's hard to see, but there is some marking on them, some labeling. Here the ear, some of these components in the inner ear can be taken out. Human heart, again, you can open some things up and see inside. The jaw, can also be used if we were talking health and talking about the care of your teeth for the younger students. I think this is a giant toothbrush over here. And this is to illustrate the concept of how a lung works, this kit 694. And I don't have a picture of the eye, but the eye is very similar. It's about the size of this of the brain, and it has components that you can take apart also. Another model that we have, and we actually have 3 of these, are these life-size skeleton models, kit 847, and these tend to be checked out a fair amount. Great if you're talking about the skeletal system or even the muscular system to show how things are connected. Microscopes. As I mentioned, we have some very simple microscopes, probably again geared towards mostly your K through 6 students. These are some simple ones. I think we have 5 of them in the kit like these, and they come with this pre-made slide. And I made up a little flyer of what is on this slide and a description of what each of the pictures is. So we have a slide that illustrates human skin. We have human hair follicle, cheek cells, nuclear pores, and then on the back we also have a description of what's on this slide, the human chromosome set, ribosomes, bacteria cells, and virus cells. So this is also very useful if we're talking about health and encouraging kids to wash their hands to show those what we have on the microscopic level in our world that we can't see that could be dangerous to us. So again, this is the microscope kit, and it's geared more towards the younger kids. Right, the owl pellet kit. I do have to admit, when I first opened it, it did have a bit of an odor, thanks to all these wonderful owl pellets that are in there. In addition to those, there is some information, some just background information about the owls. There's also a sorting guide that lists some of the bones from some of the animals that the owl certainly could have eaten and may show up in the owl pellet. So that's kit 1055 for owl pellets. Kit, this one tends to get checked out a fair amount also. This is one that includes really what it's trying to illustrate is the effect that alcohol can have on your physical abilities and your perceptions. It comes with a video, a little game where you throw these little Velcro pieces at the game, and as you can see here, it's going to tell you whether or not you're going to kill yourself, other family members, with these goggles that really skew your perception. These in the science fair, where we actually had a Wii Mario Kart game where we asked participants, students or adults, to play the game without the goggles and then to play the game with the goggles and see how poorly they did, to illustrate the effects that alcohol can have on your perception and your ability to do some simple tasks. So the eye goggles kit is a pretty popular one, and that's really a neat one to illustrate the effects of alcohol on your body. And the media ladies tell me that we also have some kits, a drug education kit and substance abuse kit, if you happen to be doing other related topics with respect to health, or maybe even your health teacher would be interested in those. All right, earth science kits that we have. We have the Star Lab Planetarium, the seismograph earthquake model, and a kit on rocks. So we'll go through each one of those. Okay, the Star Lab Kit 646. This one is kind of a corny picture, but it's basically trying to illustrate that this is a very large piece that when blown up, it would fill most of a gym. Let me get the dimensions here for you. Once the Star Lab is fully inflated, it has a diameter of 16 feet and a height of 10.5 feet. And then you can project different things onto the surface of the Star Lab inside. So it's very engaging for students and adults. There is some assembly required, but we haven't had anyone call and frantic that they can't figure out how it all goes together. So it must be fairly user friendly. And if you are struggling with that, I'm sure our media folks could certainly help. So that is the Star Lab Kit 646. Great for maybe a science day or a science night that you might be having at your school. Okay, the seismograph kit. This is to illustrate how we can actually record the event of an earthquake. What you would do is typically put this piece on one table, and then this would be, the paper would then be hanging off of another table, and then you can move or shake one table, and then it would obviously record the movement on this sheet of paper, just to illustrate how we can record vibrations that would be a product of an earthquake. Okay, rocks kits, kit 889. This isn't an actual picture of ours because I believe our rock kit is checked out right now. But within that kit, there are 7 individual boxes of rocks, and in each box there are 24 different rocks, so more than what this one has. And we have both igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rocks. So that students can experiment with those and get some, really handle the rocks and feel how heavy they are, how light they are, and what they're made up of, and do some experiments with them. So that is really a kit that could be used for an entire classroom. All right, sensors and probes. This is geared more towards your 712 students. We have lots of these sensors, and each kit has the software that goes with it. It's pretty easy to install. You just put the CD in and it will download the software. Then when you plug in this USB into your computer, and then this is where the actual probe or sensor is plugged into. And then it allows you to collect the data, graph the data, and manipulate the data with all that software. So in this picture, I don't have all of them on here, but it looks like I have the EKG sensor here. I think this is a gas probe. This is a temperature probe. This is a colorimeter. And this is a heart rate monitor. Here's a more complete list of the sensors and probes that we do have. So in one kit, we have the EKG, heart rate, and respiration, an oxygen probe, colorimeter, the temperature probe, the gas sensor kit. Let's see, I believe there is a carbon dioxide and an oxygen sensor in that kit, pH sensor, gas pressure sensor, and conductivity probe. So these are great again for science fairs, or if maybe you're doing an activity in your classroom or a lab, or just a presentation where it would be useful to have some of these sensors or probes. Okay, some miscellaneous kits that we have. We do have a SceneBot robot, and this is great to illustrate and explore electronics, microcontrollers, and some programming. We also have a rainforest connection. This is a kit geared towards the younger students, probably K4, maybe K5. It comes with some activities, some books, some posters, and then it also comes with the equipment to build this wall, if you will, a rainforest wall. It's about 4 foot by 9 foot once it's completely built. That shows the different levels of the rainforest and then the different animals that might live in those different levels. So if you're doing a block on the rainforest or or you're studying different environments, this is something you could put up in your classroom and it could stay up for a couple weeks. Okay, Newton's Toy Box. This is a large tub of a lot of toys that use concepts of physical science. So really it would just be kind of an exploratory box where you could look at how different toys use different concepts of Newton's laws. And then we also have a Jeopardy game. This is set up similar to like a quiz bowl. There's a main system that has cartridges that are already created, already have games loaded on them. And not only does it have science games, but it also has social studies and English and math games that can be used. And it's geared towards elementary and middle school. So there's games for each of those grade levels that are already pre-programmed on there. Right, some other resources that I just always want to get out there. I have a couple Weeblies. This first one is a Weebly for science, technology, engineering, and math. So if you're looking for some STEM activities or some STEM resources, there's links to websites, there's links to worksheets, activities. I also have some links to some NISA review sheets, and I'm continually adding to that. This Weebly is for NWEA or MAP testing schools. It has resources associated with math, language, arts, and science based on a student's RIT score. It is harder to find science activities based on RIT, but there is some information on there that could be used to help students with where they're at and their level of learning. And certainly if you ever have any questions or would like for me to come out to help demonstrate and work with your students with some of these kits, I'd be more than happy to do that. You can just email me at the ESU. So thank you for your time, and please consider checking out some of these resources. That's why they're here. If you have any recommendations or needs or suggestions about resources that you think may be helpful to you and other science teachers, please let me know and we'll see what we can do. Thank you and have a great day.